Put on your record face. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us for our pre-note event today. We are hosting our summit, our spring summit for Ladies Power Lunch next week, Monday. So we're like next week, this time, we're actually going to be at the summit and it's going to be so wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that with great anticipation. But of course, as far as Ladies Power Lunch goes, we lead with value. We're always trying to make sure that we provide you with the most value possible. And so today, we'd like to give you a little bit of a taste of what you can expect when you come to Summit next week, Monday. I have with me two of my dear friends. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you they're amazing. There's Robin. She was our speaker. She was our keynote speaker last spring for our summit, and she does wonderful things with women, helping them to develop themselves authentically. Her background is in public relations, and so she brings all of that sort of experience to helping her clients. And Candy's background is in personal branding. So you can see why bringing those two together to help us today to build a strong business foundation, it just made absolute sense. So welcome, Robin. Welcome, Candy. And before we go ahead and have them get started with sharing their wonderful information with us, would you guys just let us know who's in the room? Barbara, Yvonne, Joanne, would you be so kind as to introduce yourselves very briefly? Just say who you are and what it is that you do in the world. Barb, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Barbara Swenson. And what do I do? I try and follow my passions and stay creative and follow wherever life leads me. I do have jobs and other things I do. I love to do photography and other things, but I'm kind of in the middle of looking to retire in a year. I was going to do it this year, but I'm waiting one more year because I had to buy a new car. And so I'm looking at building an online something or other for when I retire and I can like travel and be elsewhere and still have my creative projects. So I'm kind of in the middle of just exploring what life might look like while I still have one more year to work full time. So I'm on my lunch hour now.
Oh,
So here we go.
great, great, great. And Barb, would you share with us who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Barb Pritchard. I run a brand and web design company called Infinity Brand Design for coaches and course creators. I help them apply empathy throughout every touch point, which every client interaction, and just make it a great experience overall for their clients.
Excellent. And Yvonne, I'm so happy to see you here. So Yvonne was one of our speakers last week, Friday, on Ladies Power Lunch Show, and I'm happy to see you showing up on this as well. Welcome.
Yes, I'll do my best to show up more often.
Yay.
So my name is Yvonne Baston. I actually live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm an event manager by heart. I support heart-centered coaches who do online events and help them not just with the logistical pieces of it, but also help them with their sales and create a profitable event.
And believe me, they need your help with that. So that's wonderful that you help people to support their events in that way. Yvonne, thanks so much for joining. Joanne, would you be kind enough to just very briefly share who you are and what it is that you do?
Hi, so I'm Joanne Rhea, and I'm a raw food coach and chef. And I show busy women how they can incorporate raw foods that are simple and delicious into their healthy lifestyle and make things a little bit easier and give them more time.
Awesome. Thank you. And Akisha, she's just stepped away for a minute, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to get to know her. What I would invite you all to do is just pop in the chat how people can get in touch with you so that if people want to connect, they can go ahead and do that really, really easily. And now, ladies, for our main event today, may I please present Robin and Candy. I'm going to start with Candy. Candy, can you just share who you are and what you do, and then Robin, and then you guys take it away. The show is yours.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is so exciting. Welcome, ladies. I am thrilled that you are all able to join us today. And hello to everyone watching the recording later. My name is Candi Sterling. I am a personal brand strategist. The name of my business is On Her Mission, and I help women who are the face of their business make more happen with less struggle and more style, leveraging personal brand strategy. And so I'm so excited for this conversation today. We're going to dive into visibility. We're going to dive into so many corners and elements of this. And I am going to be talking a lot more later. So I'm going to pass it on over to Robin, who I discovered through this process of just planning this talk is phenomenal. So take it away, Robin.
Oh, thank you, Candi. And yeah, it's the same. You have certain business crushes out there. I've had my eye on Candi for a while. And so the chance for us to get to do this together is so cool. So I'm excited to have us all here. So I'm Robin Finney, and I create safe and inspiring spaces for people to be seen through photo shoot experiences, oracle card readings, intuitive guidance and coaching, and travel experiences. And today I'm so excited to be here with you and with Candi, and we're going to dive in and talk about destination clarity and really getting clear on you and your brand and how you can bring that more to the table. And so I wanted to start the first session by talking about shifting your language around your work. So if you noticed, when I introduced myself, I described the impact that I make for others and what my mission is and my vision. And that's through the essence of all of my work is allowing others to be seen. And then I offer that through various services. And a lot of us, which I've been in this realm for a long time, and it's like a new shift for me, we introduce ourselves with what we do, which is great. It's so great that we all have different titles and different entities that we work in. And today I want to invite you to perhaps look at a different way of shifting that, where you're really drawing in your essence so that people are hearing that, because there's a tendency, and it's nothing against anyone, but as humans, we're often especially when you go around and you're introducing yourself, we're so focused on what we're going to say that we tune out what everybody else is saying when they're introducing themselves. So then we end up missing who they are, what they offer. And so I love that everybody's over here dropping in where we can connect with each other, because connection is key. But there's something about, we get in our heads and we get this pressure, and it's like, I've got to say the right thing. I've got to have the right title. I've got to make it sound interesting. And I was totally in this world. I was in the corporate world for over a decade, and I moved up. I would move in, I was in marketing and PR and online reputation, and I would move into different realms and wear many different hats. And every time I'd get a promotion or step into a new role, my boss would say, what do you want your title to be? And I would go down a rabbit hole oh, I got to make it sound really cool and interesting, to the point where I would introduce myself and people would be like, what? You do what? You're what is that? And so then I would have to explain what it is that I do. And then when I stepped into becoming a business owner, I started out in the beginning as in travel. And I have a thing about, if you're into Enneagrams, I'm an Enneagram 7, and we kind of like to stand out a little bit and be a little different. I'm a Sagittarius too, so it's kind of all in that realm. And so I'm always looking at ways to, how can I make this more interesting to say that I stand out? So essentially I was doing travel planning before COVID hit and everything, but I was like, I got to make it more interesting than that. So I said that I was a travel designer, which was cool. It sparked curiosity. People were like, oh, that's cool. What's a travel designer? And I'm like, oh, I design trips. Oh, so you plan trips? Yeah, I plan trips. And so then it was having to go into this conversation. And so I'm saying that to say, like, there's nothing wrong with having a fun and cool title, because you want something that's going to be memorable. Like, I love, like with Candi, that I can connect her to style and allowing that to shine through in your message. And so it's like allowing your essence to really come through in your branding. And that like really stuck with me when I heard that. And so I think that's one thing, is when we are introducing ourselves, to think more like, yes, the title's important, what you do is important, but also like, what is the impact you're creating for others? So the shift that I would invite you to look at today is, how can you shift showing up as your why and allowing your why to really support you in what it is that you do? And so I've really gotten clear on my why being surrounded, like really being at the core of being seen. And for a while I would look at my work and think like, oh, how does this all connect? Like, I do oracle card readings and I do coaching and I do photo shoots and travel, but it doesn't really connect. And it wasn't until I discovered my why that I really started getting clear. And I was like, oh, the essence of everything I do is around being seen. And so I love that, because all of you did, you introduced yourself and everybody started with a title, which is great. And you gave us that hint of a deeper level about what it is, who you serve. And I think that's super important, because in a sea of like networking and online world, it's like, it really is. It's like, how do you find your people who are meant to work with you? And so it's important to really show up in that and be clear, like really be clear about it. Like, yes, you can have a fun title and really speak to that, and be clear about like your why and why you do it, so that it really lands for someone and they can get, like Barb shared with her, that she builds websites for coaches and healers to support them. And like empathy is at the source of all that she does. And so that's cool. It distinguishes her as something different than somebody who builds websites. And so it's like, it niches it down more, so that if somebody's thinking in that realm, they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go to her because I fit into the realm of what it is and who she's serving. And same thing, I think it's just like listening to all of us. And so I would love to just take a little bit of sharing and hear, like, how do you, like, what is your why? What is your why for your business? And let's see if we can take that and even like make it something quick, so that when you step into that, you're really allowing yourself to be visible in that space. So is there anybody who wants to play a little?
I'm down.
All
You're
right.
speaking my language. You are so speaking my language. You know this. My why is to take my design gift and help coaches and course creators, heart-centered businesses, to grow and broaden their impact, so that they in turn can help more grow and broaden their impact, and just kind of perpetuating a world of do-gooders doing super goodness.
I like that. Do-gooders doing super goodness. That's fun. And do you feel like your why is, I feel it's very clear, and we can get like who it is you work with, and how do you feel do you feel that you're bringing your own level of authenticity and visibility to that, and connecting that, for like allowing you to bring your charm and your essence to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm finding too that I can lean even a little bit further into my why to kind of help direct where I go in my business, and kind of like eradicate those fears, those negative thoughts that kind of try to sneak in. And it's that why is powerful, man.
It is. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Is there anybody else who would like to share? I would love to hear Nikisha, just because you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself at the beginning. Have an
No
opportunity.
problem. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I'm Nikisha. I'm a custom stationery designer. My company is called Nikisha King Design Agency, because I'm looking to grow it into corporate and logo branding and things of that nature. My why is pretty much, we how can I explain it? My why is taking the story and personality of every client of mine and embedding them into our paper goods. So we don't design based on a generalization, but we dig really deep to learn our clients and make sure that their paper tell their story. And the other part of my why is when building my team to support them in what they love doing, which is art. I don't believe in starving artists. So that's the other why for the other component for my team members, my client, and then we have a mission. And the why for our mission is to make sure every girl and woman know that their voice is important and to help them build their confidence through our nonprofit organizations. So overall, the why is the story for me. My why is always to tell someone else's story or give them a voice to tell their story. That will always be the why for my business.
I love that. And that is, thank you so much for sharing that. And that's a beautiful segue into Candi and what she's going to talk about next around visibility and your vision. Because it really is like the whole point I want to drive home here is like everything that you do, it's like who you are, how you show up, what you create is all tied to, that's all part of your brand. And it's how are we all being visible and seen through that. And so I'd love to pass it off to Candi and have her dive in a little deeper in this area.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Robin. And those statements, the why, and just hearing the mission just gave me chills. So thank you both for sharing that with everybody. Just hearing it was really just a gift. And Robin, thank you, because clarity. I think that is such an incredibly powerful foundation to start with when really talking about all of this, and to share a little bit more about my story. Clarity was a game changer for me in 2015. So prior to that, I've been in marketing and communications consulting for about 10 years. And so it was graduated into the recession in 2018 and sort of figured it out and made it happen in New York because that was my dream, and became a consultant by accident. And so just leaned into it, didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what I did. And just really positioned myself as I got clear, using that clarity really as a compass. And so the big turning point, the North Star appeared in 2015 when it became really clear that I needed to I wanted to serve women. I wanted to focus exclusively on personal brand strategy. I wanted to bring in an element of image and style that I thought was unique to a woman's experience. And so having that clarity then helped me really shape what On Her Mission has been evolving into since that time. And so going back to the importance of the why, we're going to flow into the what comes next. And so looking at the vision piece. So, and before we go into the vision piece, I do want to talk a little bit about personal brand strategy. I'm very much obsessed with it because it, as I said before, was such a incredible asset during a very uncertain time. And so we're going to talk a little bit about just approaching it with more ease, because I have heard, I've heard in the ether out there that branding and marketing strategy and all of that can be a little intimidating, can be cause a source of stress, anxiety, negative feelings that, just let's kick them out the door this season. So there's no space for them. We don't need them. We're going to say bye, Felicia, to that negativity around any branding issue that you have. We're going to say goodbye. And the reason why it's going to be so good to wave goodbye and so effortless is because we all have a personal brand image. It's an automatic feature built into society, built into our senses, encoded through touch, taste, sight, sound, smell. We are perceived in a certain way. We all have a reputation. We all give off first impressions and lasting impressions. So we all do that already. Yes. So just say if you're happy about that, just, you know, wave your hands in the air, say yes. But I think that that's really great. I think that that's really amazing, because yeah, so do a dance, because what that means is that your personal brand image, it's there. It's just waiting for you to leverage it with intentionality, using the clarity, using that why, and really using that to power and drive you forward. But it's really waiting for you to just take it and think of it as a magic gift. It's always there, and you can choose to do something different every single season, which I think is really exciting and really amazing. And so I want to talk a little bit about how, you know, the only thing you really need is just genuine authenticity. You know, it's paramount, but it's all that's required. And to what Robin was sharing earlier about just living on purpose. So really living your life, and just existing in such a way that all your moments of visibility and messages that you send out there are just really revealing simple scenes of what's already going on in your world. So really that simple, you know. And so and that's why I've always believed that personal development is so important, and sort of making sure, you know, doing the action steps and getting that support to do that, because it's just so critical, especially if you want to intentionally leverage your existing personal brand. And so I always find that by purposeful action, much of the heavy lifting for visibility and what we want to share is already done. So I'm going to stop right there just to see if there's any questions or thoughts on that piece. Yes, Barbara.
I have a question. I kind of missed what you just said, something about little glimpses or little scenes or something.
Yes. So
could you repeat that?
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is generally, if you have your day planned, or your season planned, or your month planned, and you're taking action steps that are in alignment with your very clear vision of what you want your time or season or business to look like, if you're in those moments and you're taking those action steps and you're doing those things, it's almost like the heavy lifting of what to share and how to be visible is halfway done, because you're already showing up. And number one, and number two, now you have that story that you can tell in an innumerable number of ways. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about little glimpses, or sort of scenes into your world, and how to
So what
share
you're
that.
doing already, and then just share that, rather than deliberately picking things to share that then you do or something.
Exactly.
Start from there first.
And if you want to deliberately do something, then think about why you want to do it, you know, and think about, does it align with that, you know, that, is it clearly aligned with that brand vision of where you want to go? And then if it's a yes, then work it in. But if it's, you know, don't stress, just work it into, you know, how you can make that happen that season. But if it's something that's not in alignment with that, then don't worry about it as much, and just sort of release that stressful energy, if there is any. Does that make sense?
It does. So I think I need to just get clear on what my why is, and I'm not really all that clear on it. It's kind of a jumble. I kind of sense it, but I haven't put it into words yet. So I think that's part of my journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, that's a whole topic in itself, and it's just so critical, so foundational. So really informs, you know, guiding you in those right steps and what to really do. And so I think it's just really important. And so if you're looking at vision articulation, visualization, goal setting, just know that much like diving into your why, is a topic in itself. And so if you need support in those areas, Ladies Power Lunch has an amazing array of experts that will be you know, accessible to really help with some of the areas that Rob and I are talking about today. So get your ticket to Summit, shameless plug. But for today, you know, to inform on what I was sharing with Barbara, is that just know that your vision, your destination, where you ultimately want to be and end up, that vision is what informs the steps that you take to get there, right? And so we are going to go into a little bit of an exercise, but before we do that, I'm going to share a little bit more on just after what you do once you develop the vision, and what I think in my process, what I do. And so what I think is really important is just after achieving that clarity is to really clear the clutter and make room for bringing and pulling that vision into the real world space. And so who has made a vision board for 2021 or a vision statement? Yay, right? So I'm a big fan of articulating your vision. And I personally like to do a visualization or vision for every season. I think it helps to really plan things down in a more digestible way for success in every season, in any season. And so vision boards, statements, really incredible. And so in my mind, my practice is to actually do the work of creating that. The second piece, step 2, is to place it somewhere where you can really see, read, or hear it accessibly daily. So, and you can get creative with it. You know, if you don't want to necessarily read it, you could record a mantra. I've heard people recording mantras and listening back, you know, of an audio or a video of yourself. And so that could really help you. Mounting or framing it on a board, keeping it on your phone, screensaver or background, or near a mirror that you know you're going to use frequently. Just a couple of ideas, but really making sure the point is that whatever way works for you, having that vision accessible to you, so it doesn't sort of fall into the background. You pull it into that, you're pulling it in front of you. And so the third step after doing that, now that you physically see it, is to really create spaces for aspects that are within that vision to happen. So what does that look like, right? So creating a space could be a room, a dedicated room that you say, this is my office space. This is my podcasting studio. This is my writing nook. It could be a bag or a toolkit. You know, if you're getting into photography or baking or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It just has to be a space that supports you taking action in that vision. We're going to get to the fun stuff soon. So I also want to add, it could be a notebook. So, you know, that space for your vision to occur. And before I pass it back over to Robin, because we're going to talk about expression and action very, very soon. Does anybody want to share a space that they have or an area or something that they've dedicated physically that represents their vision or what they're working towards or what some of their goals are? Hi, April.
I'm extremely fortunate that I was able to take a room over in the house. So I have a studio, which is just filled with everything that I need to be creative all through my day. So it's got bookcases that have all my supplies. I've got my jewelry stuff and art stuff and fabric and sewing machine in the corner. It's just whatever I would need, I've got it.
Oh my gosh, congratulations to you. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. How does it feel?
It's my happy place.
It's your happy,
you know, and I get to spend most of my day here in it, and it's wonderful. It also is a very bright, sunny room, and I can keep a window open all year long because it doesn't get cold. So it's a great space.
I absolutely adore what you just shared. Thank you. And I'm very excited for you as your space evolves in alignment with what you're working on. That's really, really great. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And I love your glasses frames. It's a fun color. Anybody else want to go before we continue on? All right, so so thank you for listening to that vision piece. So again, just a quick recap is just making your vision board and articulating your vision. I like to do both written and statement. Number 2, placing it somewhere that's accessible. Number 3, creating the space for it to happen. And then can anybody guess what comes next? And I'm gonna let Robin take it away.
All right, so next, if you haven't guessed, is action. And I like to think of it as inspired action. So It's allowing you to take your essence and draw it into your branding. And so when you think about that, so how we shared in the beginning with your why and like the core of what it is that you do, as Nikisha beautifully said, your story, like what is your story around it? And then as Candi just shared, like really like getting clear on your branding and your being visible, and it's through authenticity and allowing yourself to shine through that. And that actually, when you're being authentic, it takes the pressure off, because when you're in your authentic zone, that's you, that's your natural essence, and that's really where you shine. And so often where it can get dicey or clouded is when we're trying to be somebody else's vision or version of us, rather than like truly owning who we are. And what I love here, just from seeing this group, is I can see so many of you showing up as your essence. It's like I can get, without even me having a conversation with you, I can get a sense of who you are just on your being and your persona. And so that's really what branding is. And so then it's taking that and looking at various areas. So I love the visioning. I don't have, like, I have this room that I'm in is everything. It's my bedroom, it's my office. I've been living with my sister's family during COVID, and so I'm grateful for my space. And I've been able to make it, since I do Oracle card, I'm an Oracle card reader and meditate and am in that realm. I set up a little altar on the floor. And so I got like a really sweet little piece of fabric that I love. And I have a candle. And so I'll light a candle and I'll go through a ritual. And so that's just like Candi sharing that. That's reminding me, it's like, yes, that's the whole reason I set that up. I have my map back here to remind me of what it is like to travel when we're able to resume traveling again. And so it's creating those little moments, and I like to think of them as like little touchstones that you create everywhere. And so when you think that, you take that and then you translate it into your brand, I like to consider, like, so often, especially when we're working for someone else, which is like if you're in the corporate world or working for a company or part of somebody's team, oftentimes we can separate it. So it's like we have business and we have life. And what I like is when you can marry the two and show that it's like we're all in the same, it's all on the same page. It's like it's all part of your brand. Who you are in your life and who you are in your business is actually connected. And so it's taking that. And so looking at what Candi shared and then taking it a step further to look at like your photography, your photos. Do your photos reflect who you are? Do they reflect your authenticity, your essence? Do you allow yourself to shine in that? If you're somebody who loves to wear a lot of color, like I can tell that April and Nikisha both like bright colors. And so it's looking at like, does who you are and how you show up, even on Zoom, because that's pretty much our world now. I put on heels today because I was like, you know what, I'm going to pretend that I'm on a stage, even though I'm sitting at my desk on a computer screen. But it's like, how are you showing up as you in that space? And that's not to say that you always have to be like made up and everything, because most of the time I'm in yoga pants, comfortable. Like that's how I want to be, and that's part of me, because that's who I am as well. And so it's like allowing yourself to be in all of those phases. So I would invite you to look at that and start asking those questions. Like, look at your photos and say, oh, do my photos reflect who I am right now? Like right now. And if they don't, then maybe it's time for a refresh, and allow yourself to like step into that. And what I love about the topic of success in any season is when you're being your true authentic self and you're living and breathing your brand and who you are, then it really doesn't, I mean, it always matters what's happening in the real world, but it doesn't have to take over and have power over you. Instead, it can help you power through it. And so that's what I love, is like looking at that and looking at the seasons and saying like, I think that's why it's brilliant to create a vision board, or statement for each season, so that you're allowing yourself to go back to that. And so it's a time for you to look at and say like, okay, I've created my vision. Now, does my branding, like my photos, my topics, like when I show up in events and I'm sharing and speaking, do they align with where I am right now and with my authentic self? And so it's allowing yourself to connect that. And so allow yourself to have your message align with your brand essence, and that's your why and who you are, which leads to your what. And so it's allowing all of that to express in itself. And so I would love to bounce this back with Candi and have you chime in and share what else is showing up.
Oh, yes. So as you're talking too, and really just sharing the photography piece, and how it's impacted you, it brought my mind back to pageantry. And one of the things that I am is a pageant title holder. I started competing when I was around the age of 17, on and off, and then just recently hit the pageant stage again, after, I guess I was 33 at the time, 34, after a long time away. So it definitely is an activity that was really aligned with that grand vision and with some of the goals that I wanted to achieve. And so thinking about, for example, the platform was Women in Business, always near and dear to my heart to support fellow women in business, because I know firsthand how daunting it can be and how lonely it can be, especially if you don't even realize, like I did, that I was even in business, that I should have been attending business events those first couple of years, for that reason. So I think the community around it is really important, but looking at the activities that you can be doing or perhaps do that, express who you are, and express, what you value, in some way. So, that could be through many different things. I have many friends who are in the fitness world who really use that, as a way to really show how they feel about how they value wellness and how they value, issues that surround nutrition. So there's so many endless ways. For me, it was pageantry, because during the season, we do what's called appearances. And it's such a great opportunity to volunteer and work with just so many organizations. One of my favorite was working with a marketing camp for girls, middle school age girls, who Camp Urio, amazing program. I highly respect the founder of it, but it was really such an amazing opportunity to just have impact through something that I was passionate about, and to really create an experience and be part of this experience for these girls who were, they were just so adorable and part of this marketing camp. And so, and that's kind of what the challenge was with the pageantry title was, okay, what am I going to do? What's going to really align with what I'm saying I really want to support? And so think of that as, what are the activities or what are the things that you can be doing and easily sharing that aligned action. So I like to call them acts of expression. I was inspired by Robin for that title. So what are those acts of expression look like and feel like? Really getting specific. And I would like to open the floor just for feedback, for thoughts, for what those acts of expression are. I just have really enjoyed the discussion and you guys so attentively being here. But Robin, what do you say? I think we can hear from the group.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to hear from you all and how that shows up for you.
Or anything that's coming up for you, really. Anything that sort of said, oh yeah, it sparked off in your mind, that even if it's an offshoot, please feel free to share. Everyone's deep in pensive thought.
This is a perfect opportunity for me to also give a welcome to the ladies who have joined us over on Facebook. I want to say thank you certainly for taking the time out to listen to sometimes it's not easy to join in on the Zoom, but listening on Facebook can be something that you can do quite easily. So I want to say, just make sure that I'm acknowledging everybody who is able to join us over there. Thanks so much. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Lynn. Hi, everybody over here. It's wonderful to see you all. So yeah, guys, what is this sparking for you? Yvonne, in all of this, I mean, you are somebody who is working with a lot of different entrepreneurs in a lot of different fields all the time. How is this conversation hitting you?
That's a great question. um, no, I love what I'm hearing, and it's just making me think about, where definitely when Robin was talking about, my photos, is that reflecting who I am right now? and, and then I always have to chuckle because without fail, I do professional photos, like I did some last summer. And then I had early this year, I had to go to my optometrist and get new spectacles because my prescription had changed. And then I decided to grow my hair. And I'm like, yeah, the essence of my photo is still there. But then, I'm also kind of like, well, I guess, sometime this year I'll be doing new photos to reflect, the new me kind of thing. And so it's, yeah. And I think, I think the aligned piece is really important, being aligned in everything that you do, that, it's a, the reflection of who you are and who you want to be in the world. If that's not aligned, people smell that from a mile away, kind of thing. And I hope the ladies agree with me when I say that. And it's okay if you don't. But that, to me, that is really, if it has to do with your authenticity and how you show up in the world. I think that's really important, to make sure that you're aligned with all of that. So that's kind of my 2 cents worth.
I love those 2 cents.
That's great. That's because it all goes back, and it's even with the photos, like I love that you even said that your photos still have the essence of you, because I do modeling and photo shoots in countries all over the world. I have my own personal mission, and I've done 8 international shoots, and every single one has a different I bring like wherever I am at that time, and I set an intention for each photo shoot. And so I'll pick like 3 words that I want to embody. And last year, this week, it's actually the anniversary, I guess, of this photo shoot. I did a nude vulnerability photo shoot, and I wanted to document the pain, the beauty that's seen in pain and heartache and heartbreak, because I had gone through a breakup, and then COVID hit, and there was a lot happening. And since the core of what I do is about being seen, then I realized, I was like, you know what? I want to show up. I was doing this for myself, and I thought this is a powerful way for other women to really own those parts of them, because sometimes we want to ignore the parts that are hard or challenging, and so I, for my own, wanted to document that. And I think that's the beautiful part of success in any season, is it's like, how are you continuing to show up and keep your essence and who you are at that core? And that's beautiful, Yvonne, that you shared that, because I do get that. It's like people can smell, I don't want to say smell a phony, but it's kind of like that. It's like you can tell when somebody's not being authentic. And what I love this past year, really, I think, is the gift that it's given this world, is we've all been in this hard space together, and it's given us permission to show up through all of it. And so that's an invitation to perhaps look too and see, like, okay, where else am I? What's aligned with where I am right now in that core? Yes, Nikisha.
So before and recently, I've been doing a lot of changes in my business. And before, my company's name was Inviting Treasures. I had it for 11 years. And I had someone who is a photographer ask me, how come I don't use my name? And she stated that because she found power in my name. It's my maiden name, Nikisha King. And automatically aligned with her because I've always had a respect for my name and what it means to me. So when I changed my company name, it seems like what I was doing before is I had two personalities. I was trying to figure out what the brand story was for Inviting Treasures, but I was still Nikisha King Hidalgo. This is who I am. But somehow when I changed my business name, it feels like everything just got into an alignment. And I didn't have to try to figure anything out for either or. It was just one brand. And my brand is me. It is, when I say that, I know my value. I know my core values for my business. I know the things. So there's no more trying to figure things out, if that makes sense. It was enlightening. It was very powerful because it literally flipped everything on its head on how confident I am in how I serve and show up to serve my clients in various ways. So, and definitely what Yvonne shared about just your essence and it's just being separate. It's like having multiple personalities and not knowing who you are at a certain specific time. And if you don't know who you are, you don't know how to write, you don't know how to show up, in other words. But when you get real clear, for me, I have one person I write to all the time in all my posts. I don't have more than one person. I know who I'm speaking to. I'm very familiar with her story. So I speak to her based on her story. When I speak to her, I can clearly say what I'm doing to serve her and ensure that I'm going to take care of her going through my process. It becomes this one dialogue. The world gets to see it, which is a blessing, but it's literally a conversation between me and this person I created. But it just gets easier when you're very sure of what the spirit is of your business, because that's what your business has. That's what the brand is. It's a spirit. It's how you show up and what you do for your company. So these are things that I think people struggle with a lot. I usually see it a lot. And usually it happens because they're just not sure of the business being the business and them being them. They're like, they don't see the similarity, but there's no way you can run a business and it be completely not who you are. Your business is who you are because your your artistic side shows up to serve. And I think people are so disconnected. Sometimes that disconnect comes through so much noise we hear. We constantly hear noise on social media in so many ways. And you're like, but I want to do this. And you're like, but I don't know how to do this because that's not me. And I've always seen that. I'm like, that's the challenge. Just be you. And everything you offer is everything the world wants. It's just the people that will resonate with you. You shouldn't be for the whole world. You should just be for the people who see you and love what you offer, and that was a big, totally big thing for me. So I thought I just wanted to share that with you guys.
I love the story that you share, just in terms of the story of clarity with your own brand. I think that is just amazing. I think that, but I have to just say it on the record. That's really, really amazing. And I can't, and you brought up the fact that, yes, that disconnect, it's there. And so for that reason, and it's so powerful because it comes in so many forms. And so it's one of those reasons why I believe you cannot hear this enough, many times in many different ways, just because you're always in a different place when you hear it. And just hearing everybody sort of describe, little bits of their journey. And so, Yvonne, when you talk about the transition, and that's, to Nikisha's point, that's part of the story, those moments of transition along the journey, part of the story. It's not, when I was really young, it's like, oh no, it's not a change. It's just the next step, the next evolution. So exciting. And so that's what's kind of coming up from me hearing you guys, because these are some powerful stories. Wow. Thank you. It was really, really great. Anybody else want anything else coming up? Don't keep all the juicy stuff to yourself. Share.
April, I particularly like your brand and the way that you bring your personality into your creativity. Would you be open to sharing a little bit about how you feel about that?
Sure. It's always a struggle, and I appreciated, sometimes, who am I versus what I do. But what's becoming clearer, the two words really do go together, and it's creating and helping. And those are really the essence of who I am. I want to help, I want to support, I want to serve, and I want to do it through a creative way. And so, as both Robin and Candi were talking, again, shifting to the why of what I do is to support women on their journey and to support heart-centered service providers in the ways that they can support their clients, their women. And I do it through something that's tangible, with the jewelry or with the gifts with intention that a coach might purchase for the clients, so that since we're all on a journey and it changes, I love the idea of the seasons, is that where I was in my first quarter, as I start to look in my second quarter of this year, being that literal, is where am I with it? And with my jewelry, and I'm intentional about what I put on my wrist, is that I'm constantly reminded that my intuition serves me well, and that I need to let it be my talisman, my guidepost. And I put my newest one on, which some of you will get on Monday, because I really resonated that I am not too old to experience success. I've had a long career in one business and I retired from that, but in this season, I can still do it and have great success in this as well. And so when I look at that bracelet, it now reminds me that I can and I am working towards what my definition of success is, not somebody else's. So it's helping me clarify more, so that a year ago, I would have said, well, I make jewelry from natural crystals. And yes, that's what I do, but I really do like the why of it much more, the essence and the blending of the creating and helping. And I hope that that's what comes through with the brand. And it's also meant to be feminine, so that the color choices are intentional and the visuals that I do are intentional, so that it's soft, that it's celebrating that God is part of us, that we all need to admit is there. Let's say thank you.
It's really powerful.
That's so good, April. I just wanted to say that before I leave. I think that's so beautiful what you do, and knowing that you have decided to redefine what success means in life, period. That is a big one, right? Because someone has set that before. Your journey before, the place you retired from, that wasn't set by you. That success story was set by someone else saying, this is what you need to do in life. This is what you need to, and you've decided to take that over and do something great. Thank you guys for having me. And I'm sorry I have to leave, but good one, April. I just wanted to say that before I left. Thanks.
Wow, awesome. So I also want to say before we go that as Robin was talking about photo shoots, if you have not checked out her photo shoots, they are breathtaking. Please do so immediately. They are very inspiring. So I wanted to tell you that, Robin. I thought I loved your shoots. And so I was really excited to tell everybody else.
Well, I'm just so blown away by both you, Robin, and Candi, and by everybody who brought their gifts and talents to our discussion and our conversations today. We've been having quite a robust conversation over here on the Facebook group as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who could join in, every way that they can. And to remind everybody that we will be continuing this conversation next week, Monday. We'll be over at we'll all be on Zoom because we're not in person anymore, but we will be at our Ladies Power Lunch Spring Summit. And the theme this year is success in any season. This idea for the theme really came to me as a result of the year that we've been through last year. And I've been talking to a lot of our members, and I am so grateful for all the confidence and the, just the confidence that everybody has in me, and the wanting to have conversation about what's going on. And some people, they've struggled. There are some people who they're kind of middling, but there's some people who have been having the best year of their lives. And so in true left brain form, I had to figure out, okay, the people who are succeeding, the people who are seeing great results, what do they have in common? And we're going to be bringing those conversations to the table. I would like for you to think of our summit as a full day work day. So, yes, we're going to have fun because that's what we do when we get together. But it's going to be an opportunity for us to workshop the things that are going to help us to be successful in our businesses. It's also going to be a great opportunity for us to network with each other. And then when you leave and you go back to work on Tuesday morning, you're going to be able to take all these principles that you've learned and apply them directly to your business. We're going to have 4 segments in the program. We're suggesting that success in any season requires 4 things. One, really connecting with your self love and really going within and taking stock of that. Step 2 is having a solid business foundation. Step 3, getting seen because the media landscape is crowded. How do you stand out? And of course, step 4, you got to have a plan. However, I don't know about you guys, but I remember making my 2020 plans in 2019, and then I remember also having to throw them in the trash bin come March. So you have to make a plan that is strategic. You have to make a plan that is aligned. You have to make a plan that is flexible. And we're going to be talking about all those things come next week, Monday. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. If you haven't as yet gotten your ticket, why haven't you gotten your ticket? You could go to ticket.ladiespowerlunch.com and you can use either the code Candi or the code Robin, and you can get a discount on your VIP ticket by using their code. And I just want to say thank you to Candi and to Robin. I want to say thank you to April, who is one of our sponsors, and she has actually made some beautiful bracelets that we are sending out to some of our VIP members who bought their tickets in the early bird. And they're beautiful, they're amazing. So, one lucky person will be able to win one of those on the raffle. Last thing, all the profits from sponsorship and from the raffle and things like that, all of that goes to our Ladies Power Lunch Foundation Fund, which is administered by the Main Street Community Foundation. And that goes to supporting women in business who are in need. And so it's a really, really worthy cause. And I invite you all to be supportive of that. If nobody has any other questions or comments or concerns, then I'll just go ahead and wish everybody a happy International Women's Day. Happy Women's History Month. And I'll see you guys, I hope, next week, Monday, at our summit. Thanks for joining, guys. Great to see you all. Have a great day.